everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Brick Rodeo in Houston, Texas, and I am joined by Mark and Steven Erickson, who you might recognize from Season 2 of LEGO Masters here in the US. They have this fantastic build they're going to be showing off to us today. So why don't you tell us what this is, and then we'll dive into the build process.
Right, so this creation is called Ragnarok Begins. It's a depiction of the gigantic world serpent Jormungandr, and he's fighting his nemesis Thor in the ultimate battle over the world.
Very epic sounding. Good pronunciation there. It sounded great.
Yeah, trying. It's actually, it's harder to pronounce than you think. It's a lot of letters, and there's Norse letters. Yeah. So, all right, yeah.
Go ahead, Steven. Why don't you take us into some of the details and kind of the nitty-gritty of how this came together?
So, yeah, well, for starters, let's start from the bottom. We got the water, all right? Mark really killed it with the water. I mean, it looks perfect. Most of this is just 1x2 transblue bricks along with tiles. There's some IKEA lights going on in there along with some fairy lights. That's the basics of it. Moving up, you have the rest of the serpent, right? So we have his tail. I went with like a sea snake with a fin. You know, there's this. We did another snake like this, you know, not long ago, and it had a spindly tail. It didn't quite work, so we went with a fin. We changed out the purple for black because black we had more of it, and it was it kind of makes it look a little more evil, you know, for fun. Mark built this body here, this arch. You did the lion's share of that, but I made the further area here, the upright body. Though Mark did get the belly, I'd say. But yeah, it's a lot of bricks until we get up to the head where we have two Technic beams held in by axles here. So the beast is looking down at his opponent Thor right here. We have lights all rigged up, and most notably the steam, right? Mark insisted. This is all his brainchild right here. Good kudos to bro here. But if you remember the old Mars mission sets from, like, I don't know, 2000 something, way back, with those hoses that they would use with a pump to move minifigures, that's what we used to transport that steam. So it's linked to a humidifier. We just taped it. I say linked, but we just taped it.
Old humidifier you can get on Amazon for like $40. It's really simple.
It's just water. And, you know, a lot of guys use dry ice, but, you know, forget it. We'll just use water. It's cheaper and it doesn't hurt anything. So that's what's coming out of his mouth through some Mars mission hoses all the way up to his head.
I love that. It adds that extra element that is super eye-catching in addition to the lights. So I know you mentioned those. Why don't you talk a little bit more about how you incorporated those into the build, especially the base of it here, and then got all that water looking so nice on top of it?
Yes, so the lights, the main bright lights that you're seeing are these larger IKEA light strips. They usually would go behind your television or up on your ceiling to kind of give that vibe. And so they actually can go rainbow colors if we want to, but we keep them on that blue because it's the brightest, it shines through the best. And the look is achieved by what Steve was saying, mostly those 1x2 transparent bricks in both blue and white and clear. And so, but there is a lot of specialty bricks going on underneath there as well. You have clear 16x16 base plates that only came in 1 or 2 mosaic building sets a long time ago. They're very expensive, and I've been slowly hoarding them throughout the past decade, and I finally have enough to really put them to good use and have them really have that light shine through. So.
Yeah, no, it works super well for that. So another thing that stands out to you when you look at this build is the rounded body of the kind of serpent here that we're looking at. And we talked a lot about in the past in videos how difficult it is to get rounded shapes with Lego. That's always something that's not easy. So talk a little bit about that process. Was that like super brick intense heavy to get all those pieces in there? How did that work?
Well, it's kind of based on really basic math, right? So you could start with like a 6, and then from a brick down you go 3, and then 2, and then 1, 1, 1. So you have like this. It starts with a circle, and you kind of work your way up from there. What I do is I often take a stack of bricks and I will like map out the arch of like a creature like this, and then I sort of build alongside that spine as I go up, so I get a nice good shape to it. Sometimes you have to improvise, like his face. You know, you want to get a nice organic look. For me, I always try to look at, you know, actual snakes or actual, you know, creatures that I would be building, and work my way from there, trying to interpret that in Lego. But yeah, it's sort of a combination of a lot of small techniques that make up a nice big overall presentation.
Are the body parts mostly hollow in there, or what's that like?
Yeah, it's only like 2 studs wide all the way around. So it's actually a bit more fragile than I would like it to be. But yeah, it's mostly hollow because we had wires going through for the eyes and obviously the hose. So yeah, but this is mostly solid, is that right?
That's a little less hollow because it's going at a horizontal position. It needs to be a little bit stronger than just like a tower. So it's a little bit less hollow, although I would say it has a good inch or 2 empty space on the inside. There's more batteries in there as well. So.
And when you're transporting in this build to a show, is the base strong enough to just bring it all in as one piece, or?
Interestingly, the base is actually two pieces, which greatly complicates the wiring inside. So you have to have wires go through the one section in order to make it all the way to the next section. So it makes it harder to build and harder to move. But it's still, it works out together as one cohesive piece at the end. So.
Yeah, it's literally cut right down the middle, and because of that, it's not as long. We can fit into a suitcase a little more easily, but as Mark said, it's much more complicated. In fact, this body is sitting on top of the crack, so we had to make sure the wires around his body down there, this white area, was all like lined up nicely, or it was going to look kind of weird with a big line going through it. So kudos to Mark again for being able to map that out without a problem, because it does look really nice in the end.
So when are we going to see the expansion pack in the form of a giant Viking village that goes with this?
Yeah, don't hold your breath too long for that one. Yeah, we really enjoyed this build for sure. It took about a little over a month, and a whole village would just take too long. You know, we got other projects. We're busy, you know, so yeah.
Although I did kind of want a village, or like maybe some biking, maybe a ship or two, you know.
No, you're biting off more than you can chew. Just calm down.
We just finished on time, so you know what? It is what it is. We got it. So.
No, it's a fantastic build. I'm so glad you could bring it out to the show and display it for everyone here. So thanks for chatting with me about it.